y'all who are here for UNA Republic. Welcome. We're going to be doing some law later on today. Right now, this is the Louie Luggage segment. We're talking sports, ladies and gentlemen. Everything dealing with crime. We are talking sports. I welcome you to join in until we get to the law after this session. So I'm going to spend a couple of moments documenting this time in our history of person and deal with crime and football, everything in Colorado. Get into it today, and then we'll go into some law later on. So I encourage you to stay tuned. We get ready to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Halo, halo, halo. Halo, halo, halo. Welcome, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. We're going to get into this thing today. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree with Louie Luggage. Welcome. I'm dealing with we're dealing with football today. Let me get myself centered here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am centered now. We're dealing with football today, and I want to welcome everybody. As you know, this is Louie Luggage. Some of y'all are on the site for UNA Republic. Welcome. We're going to talk some sports real quick, and then we're going to get into sports right after. We're going to get into law. We're going to get into some law right after this, but I need to talk some sports right now. We're dealing with Louie Luggage. All right, Colorado and everything Colorado. Coach Prime over there in Colorado doing his thing. I want to welcome everybody. All right. One moment as we get into this thing. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for joining. Once again, I'm yours truly, Diva Laree. We're going to get into some sports. We're dealing with everything Colorado and Coach Prime. This is that channel. For those of y'all who have been paying attention, you know exactly what Louie Luggage means. I want y'all to like and share. Go over and find our site on Louie Luggage on YouTube and Louie Luggage on TikTok. LOUIS Luggage. Let me get this right. 1 second. LOUIS Luggage on YouTube and LOUIS Luggage on TikTok. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree. Let's get into this thing. Now, again, those of you don't know, this is dealing with Colorado and the Colorado football team. Now, you know, Colorado is a team that Coach Prime has put together, and people expected them. Well, first of all, last season, Colorado Buffaloes, they only won one game. And they were expected to win maybe 2 games. And it was said that what Coach Prime is doing was impossible to put together a winning team. All right. So as of now, as of last week, Colorado was 4-2 when they went into the game against Stanford, expected to beat Stanford. All right. For those of y'all who did not see the game, where was you? You should have been in the house. All right. Colorado was up 29 points going into the half. And a lot of people had expected that Colorado was just going to blow this game out because they were blowing Stanford out 29-0. All right. So they go into halftime, and then they come back out of halftime. And this word that people keep using, momentum, it suddenly shifted. And the next thing you know, Stanford is coming back and making a big comeback to the point where they tied the game at the end of regulation and then went into double overtime. So Colorado blew a 29-point lead. They are now sitting at 4-3. We were expecting them to be sitting at 5-2. Why? Because this was a game they were expected to win. Now, they knew that this was not going to be an easy game. And this is why I said last week, we never take an opponent lightly, regardless of what their record is. And a lot of people had been stating that Stanford's record, where they had only had one win, was not representative of who they were as a team. And so, but in the first half, we were expecting that, yeah, they're gonna get run over as was expected. However, let's talk about what happened. Now, before I get into that, I need to go right here because they did lose the game, and that was a very difficult loss. It was a very tough loss, even for those who don't play, those of us who are not even students or alumni of Colorado. It was a tough loss because all of us are pulling for Coach Prime. And I need to say, I was going to say this at the end, but I need to say it at the beginning. I want to say to Coach Prime, even though you may not never see this, but the Spirit's going to send it to you. All right. The Spirits are going to send it to you. You and all two of our viewers, thank all two of y'all for joining in. But I need to say this to Coach Prime. Thank you. Thank you for your motivation. Thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for the words that you put out there because you have touched more than just the players on the football team. You've touched more than just the students at Colorado. You've touched more than just the people there in Boulder and the people there in Colorado. You've touched people not only around the United States, but around the world. And I say thank you. A lot of times in this situation, he's a leader, you're a leader. I know I'm a leader. And we hit these bumps in the road and they're very difficult. They're very hard. And sometimes it helps to hear somebody say thank you, somebody to recognize your efforts and the energies that you put out. So I'm saying thank you to Coach Prime for all that he's done for everybody who has pulled for him or who is pulling for him. I say thank you because you have inspired myself, not just players and students, but people in businesses, all walks of life, especially businesses. I'm in business. He's inspired me to do things on another level just with my business, and I deal in law. Those of y'all who know, I deal in law and legal things. He's inspired me, so I say thank you. At this time, I know that loss was very difficult because again, I felt it. I heard people crying. No, I mean, I literally heard people crying after this game was lost. And so I know it's difficult. If they had a hard time, and I know how I felt, I can only imagine what Coach Prime is going through. And so I say to him, thank you, because he deserves that. All right. So with that being said, I want to now get into what happened. All right. Thank y'all for joining me once again. Y'all like and share. Please go over to Louie Luggage on TikTok and YouTube and like and share, subscribe and join and all that great stuff. I want y'all to help us build this channel. All right. And yeah, this is about Coach Prime and what all Louie Luggage and everything going on with Coach Prime. So what really happened? Now I got to get into the nitty gritty. And this might sound harsh, it might sound hard, but I got to get into the facts of what really went down with respect to this game and how you can blow a 29-point lead. Now, let us go back because y'all know, well, those of y'all who do know me, especially those of y'all who are watching me on TikTok, you know I always get into the nitty gritty. We got to go to the bottom of this. And it starts before this game. This is something that has been slowly building. This is a building energy. That's why when that game they barely won last the week prior, which was against ASU. That was another game that they were just supposed to win. And they struggled winning that game. They allowed the team once again to almost come back and beat them. And that was a game where people were like, oh, a win is a win. A win don't have no face. A loss don't have no face. Yes, the heck it does. All right. The face on it now look like a Christmas tree with an S around it. What is that? That's Stanford's logo. All right. And the deal is when Coach Prime was upset about that win the previous week, he was recognizing that there are issues with this team And the fact that they're going to come against somebody who's not going to allow them to just lackluster their way through a game. Well, that's what happened. So they come out early and they did what they had been expected to do, to dominate early, and they did. But then come back after the half, and this was a whole nother team. Not only was Stanford a whole other team, Colorado was a whole other team. And let's get into it, because I said this had been brewing before this game started. All right, I need y'all to understand something. There was, at the bottom of this, there was a spiritual breakdown. Pay attention. A lot of people don't want to talk about this. They just think it's a game. It's about football, and you get out there and you physically do the. No, there's a spiritual breakdown in this group. And Coach Prime has to get a hold of it real quick before his whole team self-destructs and this season self-destructs. Yes, user, a spiritual breakdown. Pay attention. Is this the same user I'm used to dealing with? Pay attention. When I'm talking about spiritual, I'm talking about what you remember I talked about how these people, they're praying. If you're telling me you're not serious about the spiritual nature of this game, why are they in the end zone praying every day, every game before the game starts inside the end zone? Why are they doing that? If this is not about a spiritual issue, don't even pray. Just go play. What you doing all that extra stuff for? There's a spiritual breakdown here. And I'm going to tell you one of the things that we can see this going on. Before this game even started, you'd hear, when you watch Well Off Media, and shout out to Well Off Media and Reach the People Media and the pregame show, you would hear them talk about how some players were complaining. There was complaints going on in the locker room. There's some issues going on where people are not allowed, are not getting playing time. All right. There's some issues going on with, oh, I'm not getting the spotlight that I came here to get. There's a spiritual breakdown. That's starting to bubble. It's been there. And then you heard about how there were players complaining about not getting playing time, or whatever they're complaining about. They're complaining about the coaches. Spiritual breakdown. All right. So now they get into the game and they dominate in the first half like they're expected to do. But then, I don't know if y'all noticed, though, some people weren't even playing in the game. You know, Juju Mitchell, he wasn't playing. Some other players that, we had been seeing in the game on defense, that's why they had to move Trevor Woods. Was it Trevor Woods? I think it was Trevor Woods. They had to move him to another position to cover something where somebody else wasn't there. I'm letting you know there's issues going on within the camp, but it's deeper than just the players, though. But we know that the players are having their own spiritual breakdown because of the simple fact that the envy monster is showing its head. There are a lot of issues there, and they're at the point where they're about to self-destruct. And what we saw on the field Sunday against Stanford was that bubbling over. Okay, so they're in the game. They're up 29-0, and they come back after the half. Now, what you start to see is a lot of arguing. Then, so it goes from a spiritual breakdown to a mental breakdown. Now there's a lot of arguing. You see Shedeur. Shedeur is fussing at the offensive line and fussing at the offensive players. Also, you saw in the first quarter, Coach Prime was fussing at Cooper and took him out the game. He was supposed to be in the game. He was taken out of the game in the first quarter. Then you saw the last drive. They had a bad offensive drive on the last drive before the half. All right, then you got Shedeur fussing at his offensive players at the offensive line. This is mental breakdown now. So spiritual to mental to physical. And plus it was cold out there. Listen, if you don't have yourself together when it's cold and you're not used to those temperatures, everything's gonna get to you. Sometimes it gets so cold you want it. Yeah, you don't even want to deal with people. when it gets cold like that. All right, so you got Shador fussing at his offensive line. Then you got the inability to adjust after the second half. I said this, and I've been saying this from day one. The team that adjusts the fastest is the team that's more likely to win the game. The team that adjusts the fastest is the team more likely to win the game. Uh, did did Stanford adjust after being down 29 points? Yeah, they adjusted. Yeah, they adjusted quickly. But then the question is, did Colorado adjust? We're going to talk about that because, as I said, after that second half, when the second half came in, Colorado did not adjust. All right, then you got coach yelling at the players, of course, because they doing craziness, but that's what coaches do. But the players are yelling back at coach. All right. You got personnel issues where they couldn't get the right people on the field. So they're getting all kind of penalties and getting all kind of yards and making mistakes. Oh, but then it don't stop there. It don't stop there because now you got players going at each other. When I saw not Shador, but Shiloh. When I saw Shiloh going at Stoudemire, one of the guys who was really he was not doing well at all on defense. When I saw that, I knew they were likely not going to be able to pull this game out because they were unhinging. So it is mental. Now they're fussing with each other. Let me tell you something, because I know people want to act like, oh, you don't know sports. You ain't never played sports. Let me tell you something. Deeply played sports. I was a leader on teams. And for me, when I was on teams and I was leading, the first thing I wanted to do is I implemented a way to make the players argue with each other. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to find a way to make them angry and frustrated with each other. And once I got them fighting with each other, I know I'm going to win the game. How did I do that? I implemented plays like crossing plays, crossing routes. So when they start smacking in each other, they start, man, get out of my way. You in my way. No, I was trying to get over there. You in my way. Once I get them arguing, that's a wrap. And that's exactly what was happening here. They were arguing with each other, fussing, bickering. And then coach is taking one player out of the game, and the player is arguing back with Coach Prime, being disrespectful. Oh, I knew that was over then. There's a mental. So now you got the mental breakdown. They're not even in their right mind. Now they can't play right. If you are not mentally or spiritually in alignment, then your physical play is not going to be there. And that's exactly what we were seeing, a breakdown from the top to the bottom, from the spiritual to the mental to the physical. They weren't going to pull this game out. Added to that, they playing in the cold weather. If y'all don't understand the difference between playing in a hot, heat, summery, and then coming over here playing in a cold weather, there's a big difference. And I don't even think they were prepared for that mentally. All right. Then you got, again, the players are going at each other. We talked about this number 23, Stoudemire, yelling at the coach. Shiloh yelling at Stoudemire. They had, okay, now, here's the deal. They needed one stop somewhere from somebody, anybody, but nobody could bring it forward. And then added to that, you got one of the star premier players making a bad play in Travis Hunter, causing the team a first down after they had gotten a stop. Lack of discipline. They lost it mentally. Once you lose it mentally, physically, you do things. Yeah, they lost it. Missed tackles. That's been one of their biggest issues anyway, a lot of missed tackles, but they do enough to where they can get by. But once again, they just needed one stop from somebody anywhere. And when they got the stop, we got our premier player, Travis Hunter. We're not calling or picking on anybody. We're just saying there's a spiritual breakdown. Once that spiritual breakdown goes, the mental goes, and then the physical can't even keep up. All right? So We just talked about the players for the most part. But I need to get back to this. I said that the team was unable to adjust. And I want to put this up real quick. I said that the team was unable to adjust. Here you got Stoudemire, for those of y'all who can see this, arguing with Coach Prime. All right. So the players were out of their mind. And this is not, saying anything disrespectful, but they weren't playing in their right mind. Let's get on this, though, because I'm going to say when it comes to being able to adjust, that's a coaching thing. And Colorado has been having problems adjusting and putting in new plays or adjusting to what the other team is throwing at them. So we got on Friday the 13th, this player from Stanford wearing number 13. He comes and gets 13 catches for 294 yards, which equals 13. No, I'm just kidding. It equals 15. But this number 13, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. I stopped counting at 8. I was like, this is too much. Runs a slant route and continues to gain yardage, and nobody could stop them. They had Stoudemire on this guy at first. And then when he couldn't stop him, they put Travis on him. After the third, now this is the 3rd time going up, and they're throwing the same slant pattern. And you mean to tell me he goes 8 times doing the same pattern, the same guy, and they don't adjust? That's a coaching problem. I've been saying this. And again, I love Colorado. This is me as Louie Luggage representing everything dealing with Colorado. I am a fan. But I'm telling you what the facts are. There's a coaching issue. You don't get hit with a play 13 times and not adjust, or 8 times rather. But number 13 made 13 plays for 294 yards. And they knew they were throwing the ball. They told him. They did. That reminds me of how Michael Jordan was when he used to play. Michael Jordan tell you, okay, I'm gonna fake it to your left, and I'm gonna go around your right, and I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna slam dunk it, and you won't be able to stop me. And that's exactly what they were doing. And so at some point, why wouldn't they put somebody in the route to take away that passing lane? They never did any of that to adjust. That's why. That's one of the reasons why. There's a whole myriad of things, starting with the spiritual side. They had a spiritual breakdown. But added to that, there's been a coaching issue. There's been a coaching issue with respect to not being able to adjust. You can't put that on the players. You can't. They've been doing that where they come out and they do the same thing over and over and over again. How come? Let me say this. This is what's amazing about Colorado and this whole season. They have won the starting toss 7 times in a row. They played 6 games. 6 times in a row they've won the starting toss. 6 times in a row. How many games? What are they? 4 now? 4 and 3. 7 times. 7 times in a row they've won the toss. And this also add to that. When they went into overtime, they won both of those tosses as well. So they are a perfect 9 tosses win now. But for every toss that they won, when they came back after halftime, they deferred and let the other team go first, and then they get the ball after halftime. And 7 times, they did nothing with the ball. They go 3 and out after halftime. I am asking the question, how do we, as the coaching staff, not come in and say, okay, we need to make some changes. We need to make some adjustments. That's the coaching issue. Now, I can't even put that on the players. But getting back to this team had a mental breakdown. They had a spiritual breakdown. And then a physical breakdown. Added to that, they're not used to playing in the cold. They're not used to that. What went wrong? There's some coaching issues going wrong. And Coach Prime is going to have to Well, we already know he's looking at cleaning house again, because that's what he does when he doesn't have the right people in the right place. All right, and they got a lot of great players coming. But I need to go into this because Coach Prime in his press conference, he talks about how he loves the game of football. Now, one of the things about him saying this is that he's saying he wants people to be like him who love the game like he does. One of the reasons why he considers himself a good coach or has been able to coach is because he recognizes that the players can't ever be like him. He recognizes that. And he gives them that leeway. His whole thing is, I want to make you the best you that you can be. But when he says, I want to get them to love, I want people who love the game like I do, well, that's going to be difficult because they're not you. They don't have that same passion. Here's the other issue I have with that. Here you got Coach Prime, and he's constantly saying to these players, and this is a contradiction to me. He's constantly saying to them, uh, less than 1% of you all are going to the NFL. That's what he's saying to them. But then you want them to put their body on the line for this game that they likely won't even make it to the NFL. It's kind of hard for you to ask somebody to do that, but then you keep telling them, oh, you're not going to the NFL. I'm going to need him, and I hope he hears this, and spirits let him hear this. We need to come up off of that whole narrative. Nobody's saying that every one of them will go to the NFL, even though I'm saying 100% of them can be a part of the NFL if they so choose to. What am I talking about? The NFL is not just a whole bunch of players. All right, there has to be physical therapists. There have to be lawyers. There have to be people who can help with whatever mental issues are going on. There have to be managers. Wouldn't you rather have somebody who you know that knows this whole management thing and they put their time into it to deal with them than to deal with somebody who doesn't know what you're going through as a player? If you wanted a therapist, a mental therapist, wouldn't you rather have somebody who's actually played the game and understand physically and mentally and emotionally, spiritually what you're going through than somebody who didn't? I'm saying every last one of them can be a part of, whether it be the NFL, XFL, college, high school football, all of them can be a part of it. All right. Yeah, it's going to take an education for all of them. But when you're coming at them with this whole notion that, oh, you're not gonna be a part of the NFL, so only 1% of you are going. What are you saying to the rest of those players in the locker room? You are throwing them off spiritually. You don't even recognize it. I get that you're trying to get them prepared for life or what have you. But for those who really want to be a part of football and even the NFL, they can be there. They might not be on the field, but they probably make more money as a therapist and have more longevity as a therapist than they would as a player. They'll make more money as a physical therapist or a psychotherapist, or even when you're talking about a manager who's helping them to manage their funds. Wouldn't you rather have somebody who knows what you're going through rather than somebody who's never been through it? Yeah, all of them could be in it. All of them. Because there's room for them. It might not be on the field. Well, again, change your narrative to them. If you're telling them, or you're not going to play, but I want you to go out here and put your body on the line like you're a gladiator for a sport that you're not going to make it in. Why would you tell them that? That's contradiction. Change the narrative is all I'm saying, Coach Prime, because all of them can be a part of it. All of them. Might not be on the field, but they still going to make a whole lot of money. Because there's so many areas to go into when you're dealing with NFL. All right. All of that being said, Coach Prime has a love for the game. And he's right now having a problem connecting with the players. There's something else that I heard Coach Prime say that was concerning. He says, I shouldn't have to motivate you. He says, I shouldn't, if I have to motivate you, if I have to keep motivating you, then you're not ready or you're not whatever, whatever. I understand how he feels. Because sometimes when I'm dealing in law, I'm thinking, don't y'all know this already? Didn't we talk about this already? I said it a whole bunch of times. Why do I have to keep saying it to you? Well, you got to keep saying it to them. Because your words are motivation. They are listening to your words. Your words are a contract. And these people hang on your word. Not just even, again, you got the players, you got the whole student body of Colorado. Then you got all of Boulder. Then you got the whole state. They need your words. They feed off of your words. Your words are a contract. When you speak them, you bring things into life, into existence. So yeah, they need to hear it. Yeah, they need to hear you give a motivational speech before every game. Yeah, they need to have that. That is their energy. That is their food. That's like you said, okay, well, we're not going to eat today, body, but I need the body to perform the way it's been performing, even though I'm not giving you any nourishment. Well, you better know that your words are nourishment, and when you don't give it to them, you're starving them. And then you're going to have a spiritual imbalance. And once your spirit is imbalanced, oh, the mental and the physical are going to go with it. Trust. So I'm hoping, once again, as we move, as Colorado goes through this season, that Coach Prime is able to speak the words to bring them back into order, because right now they are spiritually imbalanced. And I'm going to say this to you, Coach Prime is too. Yeah, because he said, I remember the television show, the TV Buffs show, all right, a Buffs TV show, where he was on there. He got to complaining about, oh, this is the stupidest thing, the nighttime game and all this. And he's complaining. That is an energy, a spiritual energy. It's off balance. You don't complain. We're not even used to hearing him do that. Because when he keeps his mental right and his spiritual right and is always being grateful and thankful for everything, he gets what he desires. But the minute you go off of that complaining, and when I was sitting there listening to it, it didn't even feel good hearing this come from this man. And then secondly, and I said this in the show, the last show that I did, I'm like, well, you prime time. How is prime time upset about playing in the prime time? That's your name. That 8 o'clock time slot, that's prime time. That's you. But instead of being grateful about it, why would they put you in the prime time? Because they want to say the best for the prime time. That was you. So you don't complain about that. That's a spiritual imbalance. And when you're off balance spiritually, then everything that you're touching is going to be off balance spiritually. And that includes your team. That includes your coaches. But your coaches been off. Your coaches have been off. They haven't been calling plays that allow them to adjust to the situations that are before them. So with all that being said, I'm going to get out of here because I want it to just be known. This team, okay, has more games to play. The season is not over. The season is not over. But I hope Coach Prime can get his spiritual right. Because when he gets himself right spiritually, his team is automatically going to come into order. His team will come into order, but he's got to get himself right. He's frustrated right now. He's hurting because this was a difficult loss. Again, we feel their feelings. Okay, we feel that even though we're not on the team, we're not there in Boulder, Colorado, we feel that. Coach Prime is not the only one who feels it. The players are not the only ones who feel it. As I told you, I heard someone crying because Colorado lost. And I know, we could see that in the stands. I'm sure there were many in the stands, but I heard people, and again, we're not even in Boulder. So I'm letting you know, Okay, we are pulling for Coach Prime, and I know sometimes, Coach Prime, when you're in this position, you got a lot of people who are coming against you, or he's got a lot of people coming against him, and you get to slinging, and you think that everybody is against you. Everybody is not against you. I want to be made clear. I am absolutely for Colorado. The things that I say are for the edification of that team and whomever is listening, such that, yeah, you get your spiritual energy right. Everything they do, they always talk about God and praising God. If you're serious about that, get that energy right, because as soon as you do, your team is going to follow. There is a spiritual imbalance. Once Coach Prime gets his spiritual balance on point, the whole team will be on point. And what I look forward to is them pulling out the rest of these games. You got more games to play. The season is not over. You lost a game that was expected to be won. But Coach Prime, you got more games to play. I say thank you once again. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for the motivation for all of us out here who are watching you and who are pulling for you. Get the spiritual right. That's where they are. There is an imbalance. In your words, you got to understand, they are nourishment. You cannot deny that to the team, because that's what they feed on. You don't give them spiritual nourishment, they got nothing. So I wish Coach Prime a lot of success on this and getting them back together. They have a bye. They will not have a game this week. So they're going to have time to put it together. And Coach Prime says it's going to be a hard 2 weeks because of the energy that's surrounding them right now. But again, they got a lot to work on. We could see that in the previous game that they won. The way that they barely won it. We can see they've got issues. And they had a straight up meltdown in this game. There is a character issue going on with the players. Some of the players are not doing what they're supposed to do. That's why they're not on the field. That includes Juju Mitchell. That includes Omarion. That includes other players that are not on the field. Yeah. So hopefully Coach Prime is able to, once again, get back to feeding them spiritually. Don't let them be malnourished. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to perform physically. All right, Diva Laree, I'm out here. I want y'all to know I love you. Louie Luggage. Louie Luggage. Y'all go to you on YouTube. At Louie Luggage, Louie. Find us on YouTube at Louie Luggage. Find us on TikTok at Louie Luggage, Luggage. I'm yours truly, Diva Laree, representing for Louie Luggage. Bye-bye. Stay tuned, my people, with UNA Republic. I will be right back. We're going to get into some law. I love you.